Well, hello peeps, it's the Hillbilly Halfwit. Well, the last few days' videos have done some good because some of the reform candidates have been actually sharing the info that I put out. Not the actual videos, but the info that I put in the videos, which is very, very good news. And that's what needs to happen. Before this next Welsh election, people need to know what they're up to. They need to know what they're up to. And something I forgot to say the other day is the new system that they've designed stops normal candidates in your little town being able to, say you wanted to be a Labour candidate or stand for Labour or whatever in your little area. This new system allows them to put in anybody they want. So if they have these DEI systems where you have to have one Malteser coloured, another Malteser coloured, LBGT, or somebody like Drakeford who's given up, they get on the short list and they get put into your area. That's what this system is to remove the working class from the whole political system. This is what it's all about. No longer will you be able to be an MP in your area for a party unless they say so. That's what's going on. Now, this is the biggest fix that I've ever seen in UK parliamentary history. And nobody's been saying anything about it. And thankfully, we've got some stuff out there now at the moment. But this is a big fix. If you think it's not just about reform, it's about the Conservative Party and it's about centre, liberal centrists as well. So if the Conservatives did well as well, say reform didn't exist and Conservatives did the same, it'd be the same system. That it's rigged, so nobody from the centre or the centre-right can ever get into power in Wales. It's that simple. And you watch, lots of these AMs now who are giving up. They'll suddenly appear on these lists where they don't have to qualify. And there's another thing I was thinking as well. Now, say at this next election, lots of the Labour and the Liberal MPs don't get any seats. In theory, Plaid could give them seats, couldn't they? Or am I thinking out loud here? So, say Labour and the Liberals lost loads of AMs, and Plaid Cymru could say, well, if you come to Plaid Cymru, we'll give you them. Because they can place them where they want then. The system is broken. It's corrupt in Wales. It's the most corrupt I've ever seen anything. Being run by a charlatan. And thankfully people are seeing it. And thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing this out there. Because as you know, my channel gets a lot of stuff against it. Because I share this stuff out. Everybody else is afraid to share all this stuff and talk about it in detail because they're afraid how much money they get off YouTube. That's what the reality is. There's only a couple of farming channels. Farming Theory. And I will say Gareth Wyn-Jones, he's a good one. There's only a couple of really good farming channels that say it as it is about political things. Because the other people, they know if they say these things, it affects them. And it does. It affects me tremendously. But you've just got to keep going. You've just got to keep going. If you have the right principles, I believe the principles will pay off in the end by more people following. So I think people realise by now it's nothing to do with the money for me. My channel is here to get the info out there. So all of you lot who watch me can share it to others. And then all this false info that you hear off the mainstream media, you can just say, no, that's not right. As we know, we've seen lots of things here. Lots of things have happened. And especially in Wales, like we found out with these postal votes, the actual postal vote people who sent me the info are really good. I could not fault them. It was the next day. and I say, well done, well done. But here's the thing, I've been thinking about it since. You imagine in a normal election, it's not a 50% turnout, it's usually 25 or 30%. Sometimes it's up there, but not very often that high. And if you put the amount of postal votes then, so it's 10,000 postal votes. So there was roughly 35,000 votes, if I can remember. It's just off the top of my head, mind. So if that was in a normal election where there'd be 25 to 30% of the turnout, the postal votes would be about half of all the votes. And nobody knows where they all come from. It's absolutely insane and corrupt. There's got to be some way of doing this and checking this out by an independent way. There should be some independent organisation that goes around checking up on these postal votes and going to their doors, surely, because this is not normal. It's not normal to have postal votes for half the amount of people in the election, and then they suddenly turn up and change elections. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then the thing they're doing now is they've been saving up money, so they've been getting loads of money off us for all the council tax in Wales. So since 2021, the council tax in my area and most of Wales has gone up 21% in them few years. So now they're pretending to spend for this 6 months so they can say, oh, look what we spent. Spending our fucking money to try and get themselves elected. It's absolutely shameful. Absolutely shameful. I'm trying my best to keep my temper here because it is maddening. And then when you see this inquiry into all these girls being fondled with from these other smarty people, I can't say the actual words. So they know the smarty people who aren't really doing this, but they are. 250,000 young girls have been messed with them. I can't say the real words, so they'll stop the vid. You know what I mean, in the inquiry. And the way they're talking about these girls, as if it's nothing. As if it's nothing. 250,000 young girls have been messed around by the smarty people. And if you mention it, you're right wing. These girls can't get any justice for this. In that inquiry, them girls that pulled out of the inquiry, she was talking about it and she said they invited them to the inquiry, and then when they got to the meeting, they were told that they had to put a question. If they had to ask a question in that meeting, the civil service said you had to reply 2 weeks before with the question. So they weren't allowed to ask a question unless it was put forward 2 weeks before. And then all the other people on the inquiry, they managed to get other gangs of other things in there to try and water down what this was. It's a fucking crazy situation. So the civil service are covering their own arses. So that's why everybody left her. That's why nobody would stay in the inquiry, because when they went to a meeting, they weren't allowed to answer a question unless it'd been asked 2 weeks before, and then they would be allowing it. Civil service is corrupt. And there's lots more to come out about this. We all know about that, but it's never going to happen while the uni parties are in there. And it's a fact. It's an absolute fact. And the country is fighting back. And I think reform, we are using that party as a tool to get what we want. And the way all the parties now, if you notice, they're all joining together and using the same key words because they're all working together. Same as in Wales. They're all working together against the one party, and the one party is the one we're voting for. They do not want the working class to get any say in anything. And when you see these programs on TV, all these people on these programs from the other side are taken to special training groups when certain subjects are brought up, they got this reply already for them. And if you notice that, you notice when you watch normal TV, the reply is always the same off the same similar people, because they go to media training groups and they all have the same lists. Same on Question Time, you'll see it. Lots of the people on Question Time are members of these groups that have these training, or they're far left training organisations. And like think tanks and things like that. So, there we are. So, like I said, my videos, my stuff has started to go a bit mainstream this week. Good. So, very good. Thank you all for sharing it. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to have a couple of pints tonight. Please share and hype. And really appreciate you watching as normal. Okay, all the best, guys.